Good morning, guys. This is Marlon with Quality Trucking Equipment. If you're new to the channel, remember the only thing we do here is build hook lift trucks. Today we're going to talk about a subject that I'm very passionate about, and that is the top 5 ways that you can avoid getting a ticket from the DOT officer. Stick around to the end of the video because we are going to expose one of the biggest myths that truck drivers believe about DOT officers. Let's just jump right into this video. All right, guys, so we're going to give you the top 5 things that we're going to look at today, and the first one is tires. Now, I'm a real stickler when it comes to tires because of some personal experiences that I have had, and also the work that I've been in my whole life as a truck mechanic, looking at trucks with bad tires on it. So we know that steer tires are to be 4/32 on the front and drive tires 2/32 tread depth on the rear to pass the DOT inspection. Probably about 25 years ago, I was working a side job evenings and Saturdays delivering equipment for a trucking company, and he hauled self-propelled choppers, these big John Deere self-propelled choppers on a detached trailer, and I was anywhere in Pennsylvania. And we were heading down the interstate one day, and the left front steer tire blew, and there was a vehicle right beside me. I still to this day have no idea how we did not end up in the ditch, but to get that truck under control, I literally had to stand on between the two seats and hang on to the steering wheel for dear life to try to bring that truck over to the right-hand side. All because of a bad steer tire. I had another situation where I took a crane truck in on trade. We took the crane truck to a shop to get the crane certified. On the way home, the steer tire blew. This was one of them big 385 tires. It literally took half the hood off the truck. It was a fiberglass hood. When that tire exploded, it took off half that hood. That was a very expensive repair job. Again, thankfully, the driver was able to keep the truck on the road. Many times when a steer tire blows, that truck ends up in the ditch rolled over. You don't want that to happen. Tires are a very important thing, and DOT officers are looking at tires. Let's talk about virgin versus recap. I'll be honest, I'm a big believer in virgin tires. Now, I know with you guys hauling trash, getting into the landfills, you pick up debris in the landfills, you don't want to damage that virgin tire. I get it. When that recap tire blows, and it will, it can do so much damage, especially on a drive tire. It'll take out the fender. So guys, put in the comments what you like for trash hauling trucks, virgin versus recaps. I'd like to hear your feedback. When I had tow trucks, I always ran virgin rubber because I felt like they did so much better and lasted longer. So guys, I'd love to hear from you. Tell me what you think. All right, guys, item number 2 is brakes. I'm telling you, that is one of the most important things on your trucks is the brakes. It helps you stop safely, and DOT officers love to look at brakes because here's what they're looking for. They're looking for brakes that are out of adjustment, they're looking for drums that are out of specs, and they're looking for brake pads, brake shoes that are too low to safely bring that truck to a stop. Guys, it is important that you know what your brakes are like. I'm telling you, you should be rolling under your truck probably every week and checking those brakes. And also looking for wheel seals leaking. If a wheel seal is leaking, that's a bad thing. DOT officer will red tag that truck for a leaking wheel seal and brakes that are out of adjustment. Did you know this? If you are driving down the road in one of these Class 8 trucks, somebody pulls out in front of you and you hit them, it is 100% not your fault. Somebody gets killed or badly injured. If the DOT officer comes out to that wreck and looks at that truck, what's the first thing that he's going to look at? He's going to look at brakes. If he can find brakes that are out of adjustment, you are going to be in trouble. I personally know of truck drivers that have gotten sued and have lost because their brakes were out of adjustment on an accident that was not their fault. And here's why. The attorney will say if the brakes would have been adjusted, that truck could have stopped sooner and not done as much damage or caused as much injury to the person that they hit. So I personally know of a couple times that has happened to people. So brake adjustments are very important. I know all these new trucks have automatic slack adjusters, and for the most part, they work very well. I'm kind of an old school guy. When I first got into truck repair, everything had the manual slack adjusters, so I was so used to adjusting brakes every 2 weeks, roll under there, adjusting those brakes. I can't get it out of my system is to still roll under that truck and check the brakes even with automatic slack adjusters. Do you want to depend on that automatic slack adjuster to do its job? No, I'm telling you, that's up to you, the driver, to make sure that your brakes are adjusted correctly. We'd go out to these truck wrecks. Truck is slid in the ditch, truck hit a vehicle, truck's rolled over, and we couldn't do anything to that accident until the DOT officer got done with his inspection, and he's going down through and he's checking the brake adjustment on every wheel. So that's the stuff they're looking for. You don't want them to find it. Keep your brakes adjusted. Keep your drums and shoes replaced when they're needed. Don't wait until it's too late. It could keep you from a lawsuit. All right, guys, you may or may not know what a bad brake looks like or a brake that's out of adjustment, but we've got some trucks parked in the back parking lot here. There's a company that rents some space from us, and I'm pretty sure that if we go look at them trucks, we can find some brakes that are bad or out of adjustment. So we're gonna go look, see if we can find them and show you in real life what they look like. So let's go. All right, let's see if any of these brakes are out of adjustment. We're gonna have to get a light out here, crawl underneath. Let me check this out. Well, these are not of adjustment, they're really low.
A few moments later.
All right, guys, follow me around. I'll show you. We hit the jackpot on this truck here. All right, Jack, I don't know if you can get in here. It's the bottom of the shoe is all cracked and separated. And you might actually have to shoot underneath the bumper. All right, guys, check this out. We got plenty of brake pad. It's nice and thick, but do you see where it's separating? The pad is separating from the metal backing of the brake shoe. That will get you an out of service right there. All right, guys, hopefully you could see that, but the shoe cannot be detaching itself from the metal bracket. So hopefully you can see it on the camera. If not, go look it up. All right, topic number 3 is oil leaks. Now, a DOT officer is not going to pull you over while you're going down the road because of an oil leak, because most likely they can't see it. But if they've got you pulled over and they're doing a DOT check and they are going to look for oil leaks specifically for wheel seals, that is probably the #1 thing that will put you out of service, is a leaking wheel seal. A leaking wheel seal is also a dangerous thing to have on your truck because that's dripping gear oil on the brake drum and the brake shoe. That truck will not stop near as well with oil in there. That builds heat, catch on fire, burn your truck to the ground. Can't have leaking wheel seals. So take care of your oil leaks, whether it's on the engine or the transmission or your wheel seal. Take care of them so you don't get put out of service and get a ticket. All right, guys, take a walk with me as we go to the front of this Kenworth T880, and we're gonna talk about item number 4, and that is lights. Lights are important. You will get pulled over while you're driving down the road if you have a light out. Lights need to be working. If the light is on the truck, it needs to be working. I just talked to a customer this week. He's an owner-operator. He's a sole owner of one truck, and his exact words were, "Marlon, when my truck has a light out, all operations come to a halt. Nothing changes, nothing moves until that light is fixed." That's the way he ran his business. I thought that was a good model to follow. It is also why I'm not a big fan of adding extra lights all across your truck, down the side. Here in Michigan, we deal with a lot of salt in our harsh winters. We get snow, we get ice, and that is the worst combination for lights. When we had the truck repair shop, man, we had trucks come in all the time that had lights out. Corroded wires like you wouldn't believe. Wiring to lights that was done improperly or very poorly. I'm a big believer in soldering and heat shrinking every connection. Get the heat shrink with glue in it so that it seals that nice and tight. But when you look at the way we build trucks, you'll see that we don't add a lot of extra lights. We keep it very simple. You've got everything that you need. You've got your stop, turn, brakes, strobes, everything is there. We don't add extra lights. You've got your little marker lights up in here. We keep it very simple. Our overall trucks, we don't add extra lights because if you add extra lights, they need to be working. So guys, keep your lights in order. When you're doing your pre-trip, if you have a light out, stop and take the time to get it fixed and do it correctly so that it's not an attraction to the DOT officer. Gets you out of a ticket, gets you out of downtime, start your day out right. All right, guys, item number 5, and that is the exterior, keeping your truck looking good all the time. Take a look at these trucks in the background. Yes, I know they're brand new. Of course they look good, but you can have a truck that you use every day and it can still look good if you take care of it. DOT officers are looking for trucks that are not well taken care of because they know if they're not well taken care of, they're going to find something, and that's the DOT officer's job, is to find something. This morning, on my way to work, coming up 127, I passed a truck with a dumpster on it. The rims were rusty. It had a fiberglass hood. Pieces of the hood were missing. The fender was flopping. There was mud flaps missing. That truck is a DOT magnet. It didn't look good. I don't know if it had ever been washed. It was very dirty. If I was a DOT officer, I would pull that guy over because I know that I'm going to find a lot of things wrong with that truck. Keep your truck looking neat, clean, and in order. I believe that you should do a buff and wax at a minimum of once a year on your truck. That will keep that paint glowing. Keeping your frames clean, especially if you live in a northern climate where there's salt and harsh winters, your frame will rust. Your bumper will rust. It's not that hard to keep them frames looking nice. If you wash them weekly, I think these trucks should be washed weekly. It's gonna leave a good image when you deliver that dumpster, and it's gonna keep the DOT officer off your back. Back to the frames. We have a shop here locally on a single axle truck. Take this one right here. For $1,500, he will sandblast all the rust on the frame, the rear axle, and the hoist, and he'll put a fresh coat of black paint on that entire, from the cab to the back end. That truck shines and looks like new. $1,500 is not a lot to keep that truck looking good, clean. I talked to one guy one time, he said, if you keep your frames clean, he said, if you go through a weigh station, they'll wave you through. Portray yourself as a company that's professional. If you hit the hood, you crack the fiberglass, get it repaired. I know it's expensive, but it will keep the DOT officer off your back if you do those things. All right, guys, those were the top 5 ways to keep the DOT officer off your back. We would love to hear from you. What have you done to be successful in keeping the DOT officer off your back? We'd love to hear from you. Put them in the comments below. Here's the myth that you've all been waiting for us to break. And that is that most of you guys out there believe that the DOT officer is out there to get you and to make life difficult. And that is not true. We recently sat down with a DOT officer, had a one-on-one conversation with him, and here's his exact words coming from the man himself. He said, if I see that truck going down the road and it's clean, it's not dirty, the load is properly tarped, there's not debris hanging out over the edge of the container, he said, I'm going to let that trash hauler alone. I'm not going to pull him over. So there it is. He said, if the truck looks good, I'm not doing anything. He's going after the bad guys, the guys we all know that need to be pulled over. So there you go. Make the DOT officer your friend and you will live a stress-free life. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. I know that I did. I'd love to share that information with you. And remember, if you need help with a hook lift truck, give us a call. We're here to help you. It's the only thing we do is build hook lift trucks. Call us today at 989-802-0907. We'll be back. All right, guys, item number 2 is, oops, let's do that again. I held up 3 fingers. All right, guys, there's the fop. Stick around to the end of the video and we are going to break to you because we are going to, all right, guys, how did you say that? All right, guys, you